Good morning, everyone. For people who don't know me, my name is Dr. Mana Al-Musli. I'm the co-founder and managing director of PRA Consultancy. First, I would like to thank you all for joining our webinar today. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our newcomers to participate on the webinars. And hopefully you will be getting a lot of benefits by the end of today. Thirdly, so to thank our titanium sponsors for the GCC Regulatory Affairs Summit 2023, uTrace and Advanco, for their collaboration and partnership that play a good role and valuable. By the end of the day, you will see how much question they will be answering and how many of your questions that you were sending us as a consultancy will be solved. Our theme today is just traceability and serialization. Traceability and serialization requirements have been really mandated in all Middle East and the North Africa region. And we need to grow with it, understand it, because this really will combat our growth to growing the problem of the counterfeit medicine. Nowadays, it's highly important to be on the same wavelength and to share the existing changes connected to the serialization and to discuss the ways how to overcome these challenges. In this webinar, we will be covering what is the full traceability and how does it affect packaging and warehouse? What difficulties do companies face when working with aggregation and packaging and warehouse operation? 4 main problems: complex geography of reporting, incoming and outgoing hierarchy notification, increased labor costs of scanning supplies, and how to solve them all. And please be with us, get your Q&A on the boxes, and by the end of the webinar, we will have a question and answer where our speakers will be answering them. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Amir Soy, project manager of Advanco. Mr. Amri has more than 10 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry. He has extensive knowledge of project management, owning all the stages of life cycle to deliver this project successfully. He is also highly experienced in pharmaceutical manufacturing, process, and the process validation. Mr. Amri, please welcome on board. I would like also to introduce Mr. Arif Al-Zahif. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the family name correctly. Business Development Director of uTrace. Mr. Arif is a director of business development at uTrace and expert in track and trace management, IT project management, supply chain process organization, and post-implementation technical support. Since 2011, Mr. Arif was participated in various implementation projects in a large logistics, pharmaceutical, and FMCG organization. Mr. Arif is an evangelist of track and trace technologies and has been conducted dozens of webinars and consultations on building serialization process in production and logistic function. Welcome on board and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Mona. Thank you very much. And I am glad to welcome all of the participants. It's really a big pleasure for me to participate here in this webinar. And many thanks for the organizers and for you who has joined this webinar. I hope it will be interesting for you and we all understand better what is expecting, what we can expect from full track and trace and how can modern technologies solve the most important and the most difficult problems that we face. Also, I want to say hello to Mr. Emre.
Hi, Arif. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Dr. Mona, to introduce me. I am happy to be here and I will be happy to help our participants during their track and trace journey, actually.
Welcome on board.
Okay, thank you, Emre. I'll start with the introduction of our companies because we will talk a lot about our products a bit further. But first of all, I would like to say a few words about uTrace, and Emre will say a few words about Advanco. I'll start with uTrace. uTrace is an international company providing flexible traceability software and services. We develop and support our track and trace solutions for regulatory compliance for various markets. For example, we have a lot of projects in Russia, the following projects in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, CIS countries, and also now we are conducting some activities and projects in Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and so on. So the GCC region, which is currently starting their serialization programs, and we will speak about them, about these programs. At the moment, we have 4 products for traceability, warehouse automation, data analytics, and more than 40 customers, mainly large blue chip international pharmaceutical company. You can see them on the screen. The total turnover of our SGTs and products in our system is more than 5 billion codes per year in different product categories and different markets. Our strategic target is to provide the best track and trace solution for emerging markets. We see that global vendors usually are not too much focused on emerging markets and provide less flexibility in automation. Some companies, some blue chip companies that we work with, they have already chosen uTrace as a second vendor for track and trace solution for emerging markets. And product and services, also we provide services on Eastern Europe region, and we have quite a big amount of customers. Now let's ask Emre to introduce Advanco. Emre, please.
Thank you, Arif, and let me give brief information and brief highlights about Advanco. And Advanco was founded in Brussels, Belgium in 1981. So we have been in supply chain business over 42 years. In the beginning, I'm so sorry. In the beginning, we were dealing with only RFID, tags, labels, barcodes, and unique identifiers. But I'm so sorry. Give me a second. Yes, I'm back. As you know, Turkey was the first country that implemented the track and trace regulations in 2008. And within 1 year, Pfizer Turkey was the first customers of Advanco. And since then, we have been only focusing on pharma track and trace solutions. So currently, we have over 50 customers, and our solutions controls over 400 packaging lines all over the world. And in 2019, Advanco acquired by the Parabellum investment, and we extended our product portfolio with the Parabellum investment know-how in the software industry. And we implemented the first cold chain serialization solution for packaging and aggregation operations successfully in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and for controlling the Pfizer vaccines. And we provide 24/7 support, and we have 100% customer retention rate. So we never lost any customers. Please, yes, Arif, as you see our references on the screen, we provide vendor agnostic solutions, and we cover both MAH, CMO, and 3PL needs. And I guess, Arif, that's all about the Advanco. We will have quick survey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Emre. You're right. We have just discussed our companies. Yeah, and now we introduced ourselves, and I would like to learn more about all of you, about our participants who has just joined us. We have a quick survey. The first survey, please switch on the first survey, colleagues. Yes, thank you very much. Please answer the question. While are you answering? I mean, we should first answer the first question. Yeah, the first question. While you answering, I would like to remind that our webinar is interactive. You can ask your questions in the chat in questions and answers, special section questions and answers. Our chat is moderated with my colleagues who are professional in track and trace industry, in track and trace solutions and integrations. So they may they may answer you. At the end, we will pick up all the questions that you have asked, and for all these questions, we will provide the written answer after the event, and we will send you these answers, so you will have a reference, and all your questions will be answered. Also, I would like to pick the best question today and provide this answer at the question and answer session. Also, please feel free to answer to your colleagues' questions. If you know the answer, it will help your peers. And also, sometimes I will ask you to answer some questions in the chat, because I want this event to be very, very interactive. And the surveys, of course, please choose the answer in the surveys as soon as I ask you. So today, right now, we're answering on the first question in the survey, and if it's completed, I will ask our coordinators to provide the results of the survey. Yeah, and to show the results. While we're going forward, I think that we should start with definition of the terminology. Today, as Dr. Mona introduced, we will talk about full traceability, or we call it full track and trace. The process which is implementing now in GCC. Usually, full traceability is a natural development of the serialization process. And usually regulations and countries usually go through 3 steps on the way to full traceability. So the first step is traceability on batch level, when we just print 1 QR code per batch. It's unique for 1 batch, and consumer may confirm that the batch is genuine. For example, this process is recently introduced in Indian market. So they start with 300 medicines or to track it on the batch level. The second step is serialization only. So it's a process of applying the codes on the packs and withdrawal of these codes. And third one, and the most complex, is full track and trace. Let's dive deeper to last 2 options, because all of them require unique pack identifications. Only the process of tracking is different, but in serialization and in full track and trace, the critical process is serialization itself. So what does it mean? Yeah, it means that the unique identification code is applied on the pack. Usually it includes serial number and GTIN. And we should, in this process, we should report only the application of the codes. I mean, like a codes usage report from the factory. And then we should report disposal of the goods on pharmacies or in hospitals. What's going on with the product between a manufacturer and the pharmacy, nobody knows. And during the usual ordinary serialization process, we shouldn't track this. But here, some markets, of course, some markets use, like European Union, the current serialization in the United States, they use the serialization process, not full track and trace. And you may write in the chat what's, based on your opinion, is missing. So what we need to have to move from serialization to full track and trace. So please provide your answers in the chat, not in the question and answers, in the chat, if you would like to participate. But I'll move to the next slide, to full track and trace. Yeah. So the difference between serialization and full track and trace is that in full track and trace, each participant should report the movement of their goods. So full track and trace is about reporting from the entire supply chain, from each of the participants. So you can track the product wherever it is, at customs, at warehouse, at retail store. Full track and trace, of course, it gives much more opportunities. For example, if the regulator gives us the access to the product data, like it is in Russia, for example. You can have real-time distribution reports and see where your product is. Are there any out of stocks? Is your product distributed correctly within the region, and etc. So of course, full track and trace provides a lot of opportunities. But of course, the more detailed traceability requirements we have, the more complex status model is, and the more complex equipment and integration landscape we will implement in our companies. I see that several times that some people say that full track and trace is about aggregations. Yeah, so let's talk about aggregations. More or less, they are right, but it's not exactly like this, because there are some examples in industry where aggregations is not used at all, although full traceability exists. For example, in tires serialization, yeah, automobile tires and so on. They do not have aggregations because the tire itself is quite big. But for pharma aggregation, it's very important since we work with small packages, and this creates a huge headache for tracking them until they are aggregated in a master case or in a pallet. So aggregations, they intended to simplify the process when you receive and dispatch the product. But aggregations create a lot of another issues, because if you are, let's say, a manufacturer and you installed aggregations equipment and applied the code, segregated it, packed your delivery, then your downstream partner should be able to check if in traceability system he receives the same product as he has got physically. Yeah, because this should be reported in the same way. Otherwise, there may be an issue, yeah, with aggregation when the product that you receive doesn't match the data in the systems. But you are responsible for this product. You became responsible because you accepted it, and the aggregation problem would be your problem. But we don't need that. That's why the companies implement reconciliation process. But to reconcile, you need to get the data of hierarchy, and the main problem is how to get this data. Yeah. And another issue with aggregations in full traceability is IT and equipment complexity for all supply chain participants. On the next slide, I will show you the overview of the supply chain functions that are affected by full traceability. You see that the track and trace project usually involves warehouses and customs. They require, for example, new equipment and software, 3PL operators that also should be ready to provide you the services with necessary functionality. And of course, the services will be at higher price, yeah, because they will have more routine operations. And we know how to minimize it, but still there will be more amount and the price of these operations will be higher. And of course, on manufacturing side, this, I think it's the most complex thing, how to deal with aggregation, serialization, and full traceability on manufacturing side, especially if you have continuous manufacturing process without stoppages and so on. And I would like Emre to add some colors to this topic. And please tell us how shop floor operations are affected by full track and trace. What you see?
Thank you, Arif. You explain, I mean, very good. First of all, the track and trace starts from the packaging lines, and it means the new equipment on the shop floor. And when new equipment installation, as you know, the installation in the operational packaging environment is always a huge challenge for everyone or production facilities. Because of the serialization and aggregation activities, we must add additional in-process control steps that directly affect the packaging operations, and also some additional manual steps to the process, like manual reconciliation. And of course, these additional steps cause some efficiency drops. Later, our presentation, we will have a deeper look at supply chain operations from the efficiency perspective, Arif. And please go on.
Yes, thank you, Emre. And my question is, we see, yeah, and from the level of our previous implementations, that mostly track and trace implementation projects is more about IT, but there are a lot of people who treat it as a equipment project, yeah, installation of the equipment and so on. What is your opinion? Do you see the same picture? That's 80% is about IT, is about integrations and so on.
Exactly, Arif. The IT side of the things is not only about managing serialization and aggregation equipment. The integration process with the corporate level and the site level systems is also very crucial and time-consuming processes. The change management process in the multiple system while integrating the track and trace solutions creates new challenges and time constraints, actually. And to manage IT-related activities in the track and trace projects, our suggestion is to have dedicated IT project managers from the site and the corporate levels. Because IT-related activities cover, as see on the screens on the presentation, covers a huge percentage of the full track and trace projects. But also, another thing, training the end users is a very important task before going live. To manage this challenge, well-prepared training documents, training materials from the vendors helps a lot. Therefore, during the implementation track and trace solution, we can reduce the cutover periods with the well-trained users and the well-managed IT activities, Arif.
Thank you, Emre. Very important thing you touched, the trainings and the project management. Of course, what we see, we have dealt with more than 50 implementation projects or track and trace technologies, and we see that the companies who treated this project as IT project have 80% less errors and efficiency loss. It's very important comparing to those companies who run this project as a standard equipment-related project. You see, because there are so many integrations, so many communications between the system, and so many dependent on the quality of data that it's really like this. And of course, it's important to make tests. Very throughoutly the tests that includes exceptional scenarios. It's very important to do that. So testing is also should be a big part of your IT projects. For example, in our projects, testing is approximately 25% or even 30% of the entire time that our consultants spend on the project. Okay, since it is IT project, yeah, let's assume and let's say that this is mostly IT project. Let's also introduce some definitions according to ISA 95 standard. So most of you, I think, already know this standard and the common terminology like L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5 levels. To say it briefly, there is equipment, yeah, which makes L1 and L2 level. Like, for example, the camera and the software for this camera that helps camera to scan the data matrix code. L3 level is mostly about managing all the equipment on the specific site. Is what Advanco provides, and Emre, it's your business. Then, as we have, and companies usually have a lot of different sites, manufacturing site, logistics site, and so on, we should integrate them into one pool of track and trace data. And it goes to L4 level. And here it's our business. We provide L4 solution. And L5 level is a level of government where they have the full repository of the codes of entire market of all of the participants. Okay, we see the tendency that companies see better efficiency and receive better efficiency of their processes if they use different vendors on different levels. For example, there are equipment providers who provide all or they claim to provide all 4 levels. But we don't see any implementation of such solutions for quite big manufacturing sites or for blue chip companies, because they prefer to choose different vendors for different levels. For example, Advanco for L3 and uTrace for L4. And this is a question for you also, Emre. Do you see the same thing? And why do you think it's so important to have separate vendors for equipment, site system, and track and trace system?
Thank you, Arif. It's a good question. I believe the most important reason is the vendor locking. A machine builder always provides level 1 and level 2 as a part of serialization and aggregation equipment. But in most cases, if the machine builder also provides a level 3 solution, it is impossible to manage serialization and aggregation equipment from the different vendors. And this is one of the important reasons, actually, but it's not limited to that.
Okay, so you mean that one of the reasons is that companies may use different equipment on different sites, and they do not want to depend on the specific vendor. Am I right?
Yes, correct. If, for example, vendors provides both solutions, it's actually limited to flexibility, Arif. But if we use a separate and independent level 3 solution, always provides the best flexibility, and it has the ability to connect different level 2, level 4 ERP and WMS solutions at the same time. And this is obviously way different and more complex than managing a single equipment. And the idea is same for the level 4 solutions, Arif.
Absolutely.
Yeah, software vendors should have a totally different mindset to handle the different requirements for level 3 and level 4 solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And different mindset to cover equipment level, yeah, because it's mostly about mechanical speeds, yeah, not IT. And thank you, Emre. I can absolutely agree here, because as I told before, the more complex regulations are, the more complex IT will be in your IT landscape and equipment landscape. And of course, L4 level will be required to connect several sites together, and L3 will manage operational results for each site and manage all the equipment level. By the way, let's talk about the regulatory complexity, yeah, in GCC, for example, and finalize the first part of our webinar. And to finalize this first part, I would like to turn back to the beginning and say that complexity is mostly dictated by the country requirements. Of course, if you sell your product to Europe, for example, you shouldn't care about supply chain complexity in the same way as if you sell your product to Russia. But still, Europe has their own challenges with notifications and so on. But now we see that new regulators, and GCC regulators are not the exclusion, they are starting already with quite complex programs. So they do not go through the standard path like batch management, then serialization, then full track and trace, and they prefer to introduce the full track and trace requirements at the beginning. And this is the evident trend, not only for GCC, but for all new serialization programs. And this requires all companies to be prepared for the complex projects from the first day. And I would like to say to our audience, that we have expertise here, of course, and we understand how your process may change. And we are ready to support you here. And further, we will talk about and we will discuss about how does supply chain with full track and trace look like, and how track and trace affects its inefficiency. So I hope we have done with the terminology. Now we're on the same page. So let's talk about supply chain efficiency. One more thing here, supply chain, what we're talking about, supply chain is mostly about manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution. So the functions that mostly will be affected by, so will not take into account procurement and so on. So we will just focus on manufacturing and warehousing part of the supply chain. If we do this, let's see the general supply chain, how the general supply chain looks like. Companies usually have several options to deliver their product to the market. Generally, I can distinguish the manufacturing process. Yeah, on the left, it's maybe a foreign manufacturer before the country border, or the manufacturer inside the country, local manufacturer. It can be warehouses, the distribution center outside the border, or customs warehouse or bonded warehouse, or your own or 3PL warehouse where you store your product. And then the other part is distribution part. It is what's going on after the first internal sale has occurred. We will try to cover each of these processes, and we will try to highlight the most evident issues and risks here. And I would like to start with manufacturing processes. This is one of the most complex one, as I told before, where efficiency is crucial. So, Emre, please say a few words about the manufacturing perspective. What should companies be aware of?
Okay, thanks, Arif. Again, from the manufacturing site perspective, the OEE is the key indicator for site performance. And as I mentioned previously, efficiency drops at the certain process steps inevitably arose, but there are always solutions to improve the OEE. For example, the batch yield decreases due to the rejects at the serialization and aggregation operations. And another example is additional in-process control steps introduced after the serialization and aggregation directly affect the OEE. But efficiency challenges are not limited to batch execution only. For example, the manual data reconciliation at the end of every batch creates a huge time losses, which are difficult to explain during the OEE calculation. Let's imagine a packaging environment, Arif, and a packaging line can produce 5 or 6 batch in a day. But of course, based on the batch size of the product, this quantity can change. Without an automated reconciliation process, one dedicated person, operator, must perform all reconciliation activities manually. And in this case, OE can drop up to 2%, depending of course, depending on the back size of the product and the hierarchy complexity. But thanks to the new technologies we developed with uTrace, we can automate the reconciliation process and mitigate the data integrity issues with the exception handling capabilities of the level 3 system. Therefore, we can prevent the significant OE reduction on the shop floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Emre. And you have just told about 1 or 2% OEE, but this is a massive amount of possible losses here, because for continuous manufacturers, it's a very big value. And I think that when we are talking about choosing the software, and we are calculate the feasibility of choosing the software, we should take into account that potential losses is your potential profit that can be lost. And it also should be taken into account when you calculate, for example, the cost efficiency of the solution, because the good and well-integrated solution will give you more opportunities and even more or OEE that you may had before, this serialization program. Okay, so I would like also to go to another survey. Please, colleagues, switch on the second survey and the second question in our survey. And the question is how you are going to manage aggregations and operations. Mr. Emre, am I right that there is no incorrect answer here, because Advanco has technologies to work with different types of aggregation processes, and it's very much dependent on the specifics of your production, So somebody will prefer fully automated solutions, somebody will prefer to go with semi-automated, and somebody will say, okay, I have just one batch per year and it's enough for me to aggregate everything manually. But still, in any case, the solution should be convenient for the shop floor personnel, isn't it?
Of course, and the importance is flexibility is now is very clear and depends on the customer needs. We can adapt ourselves and we can perform the fully automated. We can provide the fully automated solution and semi-automated solution, and based on the customer needs, Arif.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answer. And let's go forward. Let's go to the next slide, and let's talk about logistics. Yeah, sorry. Let's talk about logistics. Here, now we understand, yes, the importance to keep your data in manufacturing up to date, but logistics is not the exclusion. Because as soon as sterilized product is moved from manufacturer to the warehouse or to the customs or wherever, you have three important aspects that you need to cover. First is reconciliations on downstream partner. As I told before, when you receive the product, you start to be responsible for it and for its reporting. In this case, the receiving partner, for example, your customer, if you are a manufacturer, or if you are MEH and produce the product outside of the country and get this product to the country, you will also have a necessity to make reconciliations of the volumes. And of course, the problem in current systems is that some L5s, some government solutions, doesn't provide hierarchy information before you accept the product on your stock. But it's too late. Yeah? In this case, you need to get somehow the hierarchy before the product is accepted, because you cannot accept the product with incorrect volumes. And so the L4 level or track and trace level should be able to communicate to each other and have functionality to exchange this information. So this should be an important requirement when you choose your L4 software. You should be aware that this software is possible to communicate and to receive the hierarchy, and of course to send the hierarchy to your downstream partner, because your downstream partner also will have the same issue. The second one is rework operations. Is generally when WMS systems they are providing cell-based storage, and they do not perform counting on packs level, and so they not perform accounting on data matrix or SSC level and so on. So the separate system should be integrated to reflect this rework and hierarchy change operations. Also, it means that integration between track and trace system and WMS system is very important, and your partner, your vendor, should demonstrate that it has the necessary experience, it has the necessary ready integrations, for example, with SAP EVM or whatever WMS system, Manhattan WMS and so on. And he should be able to share this data and minimize the efforts that you have on the shop floor. We will talk about it a bit later. And the third thing is dispatch process. The dispatch process require reflecting the picking process when you pick the product to the specific order, and all related track and trace operations related to this picking. Moreover, it is important to make GCC quantity reconciliations between track and trace system and your order to avoid situations when you send the product, but there is something wrong with the reporting. Of course, the system also should have the validation layer, and all the messages that it sends to the government system, it should be able to validate according to the rules, so that the codes are really on this location. The codes have the specific status and so on, so on. So the L4 system also should be able to do this. And talking about downstream partners, as I told, they also should be able to receive the hierarchy information from you, and you should give them this functionality. The same situation with revert logistics, when the product is recalled and goes back through the supply chain. Also, the companies should be able to track this product and to report what has just come to their stock. If we look at the processes, new processes, of course, full track and trace will inevitably create new processes. Mostly, they are about aggregations management, reconciliations, reworks, reward logistics, and exceptions handling with data governance. Before we go forward and discuss the solutions and what solutions we provide with Advanco to cope with these problems, I would like to say a few words about exceptions and data governance. If you remember, I mentioned that those companies that treat track and trace implementation as IT project usually face much less problems. And the root is obviously here, because all exceptions and all insufficient automation result in efficiency drop and require a lot of manual efforts to address the problem. We see, for example, when we implemented track and trace in Russia, we see that the companies who implemented solution which was not so automated for example, to control the sequence of the messages, they had to involve up to 3 data governance specialists to work full-time to control this reporting sequence. It's very important. Automation and the communication between the systems is the must. And of course, one of the main thing here is to make IT communications between L3 and L4 level more efficient, and to test all possible exceptions, as I told, during the project. I think Emre can add a lot there, how the communication between L3 and L4 systems may be built to increase the level of automation. Please, Emre.
Yes, first of all, it's important because the efficient communication between the system level 3 and level 4 will increase the level of automation. And in the packaging and warehouse environment, it will provide superior exception handling capabilities to us. And also, with the help of the new technologies, we can now remove extra manual operations. As we mentioned before, for example, manual reconciliation, batch release operations, or aggregation label management processes. But the most important and another thing, actually, where effective communication provides instant status updates of the serialized items during the post-packaging and rework operations. And it's significantly increased the rework operation efficiency on the shop floor.
Yes, thank you, Emre. And we will talk about it because it's mostly connected with aggregations and dispatch management. You see, I outlined the most common problems that usually companies will deal with. One of these is complex aggregations management and sequence control, as I told, is the same as you have just told, to us. And then the second is complex dispatch management, also with sequence control, because we need to make picking, make all the rework operations on the warehouse. The third is that hierarchy data, and government system usually do not provide hierarchy data. I already mentioned this, but I will show how we can solve on UTrace level. And also double scanning, very important thing, because shop floor personnel do not want to scan twice. Because if it's possible to make one scanning, it should be one scanning. And also, let's discuss how is it possible. Okay, let's talk about the first problem, that the physical scanning doesn't reflect the required reporting processes. Unfortunately, it happens, and the simple operation, when we need to, for example, insert one I mean, to insert one pack to another master case. Yeah, very simple operations. From warehousing perspective, is just one operation, but from track and trace perspective, is a big amount of subsequent events, starting from disaggregation of the pallet, then disaggregation of the master case. Then we should take out this pack. Then we should aggregate back the master case to the pallet, and so on, and up to 6 operations. Of course, it depends on the specific requirements, but we, for some countries, we see that it's really a headache. Yeah, and what should be ready? Yeah, what should L4 level provide in this case? For example, what uTrace provide? We usually create and control the sequence of intermediate messages. For example, WMS system provides us the result of the operation, and we prepare all the sequence for these operations. But not in the case with Advanco, because in the case with Advanco prepares these messages, and generally it helps us to do it very, very fast. Emre, could you please also say a few words here?
Yeah, you touch a very good point, Arif. Any change in the packaging hierarchy and item statuses after the batch execution must be managed very carefully. Otherwise, first, data integrity issues will arise, and it will affect the further operations negatively. And actually, we met many companies which had faced hierarchy and status update problems frequently, Arif. In their cases, the actual item status was not reflected in the level 4 solution. And to solve this issue, the partners have to scan all items to have correct hierarchy and item statuses. And it is obviously a time-consuming process for the companies. However, implementing a level 3 solution allows us all hierarchy and status updates to be done effectively without any data integrity issues. And to handle this problem, the ARC platform, which is the Advanco level 3 solution, sends item status updates to the level 4 with the synchronous interface and triggers new reports in real time. So the serialization and the aggregation data always reflect the actual status of the physical goods. Thus, like I said, we prevent the data integrity issues, and we keep the hierarchy and status of serialized item always up to date.
Thank you, Emre. I think we should speed up a bit because the time is moving. And here I should say that what else is important here? Because all these intermediate operations that should be done are time consuming, and they require quite big performance. And you need for example, when you choose L3 or L4 level solutions, you should understand that if your productivity and the productivity of the system, they are similar, because otherwise it may be some delays on the dispatch because the system, for example, is processing the data. It shouldn't be like this. And on this slide, you can see the second problem is about this. That L4 should control the sequence of the messages, and it should receive this information from L3 level or from WMS level, but still the productivity of this system also is very important. Am I right, Emre?
Yeah, correct. Controlling of sequence of the message between the different solutions directly affects the shop floor efficiency. For example, I saw this issue in different companies, and this is the common problem. Suppose an operator scanner rejected or decommissioning item while executing a sales order, and he or she doesn't receive an error message immediately. And as you know, the manufacturing facilities make money when the goods are shipped. In that case, this may cause huge delays on the shipment process while the trucks are waiting outside of the warehouse. And to prevent this kind of issue, level 3 and level 4 solutions should communicate effectively and ensure that the item status are reflected at the same item statuses are the same for all levels.
If you may allow me, how much time is it taking for L3 process to be finalized?
Actually, we provide the synchronous communication, and this performed instantly, Dr. Mona. We don't spend too much. Actually, within seconds, we update the status of the items on the level 4. When operators scan the items, we provide the instant updates on the level 4.
Thank you, Emre. And here I also would like to add that, for example, L4 solution like uTracing can be integrated with WMS directly, or it can be integrated with L3. And it's better to integrate with L3, because if you integrate with WMS, for example, your shop floor personnel doesn't see the status if something goes wrong. Yeah, because when you see it on the second floor and look in your computer, yeah, it's maybe too late to go down and to say, colleagues, we have the problem with the aggregation, for example. And in this case, of course, the solution that between WMS and L4 level, it should give such opportunity to minimize the problems and minimize the time to resolve these issues. Okay, on the shop floor. So the third problem is about, as I told, that many L5 solutions don't provide functionality to retrieve the hierarchy. And in this case, for example, uTrace provide a unified approach for all stakeholders. So the companies, the upstream and downstream partners may send to uTrace hierarchy information in 3 different formats. We can receive it and provide a very straight and useful interface to reconcile your incoming hierarchy. And also the same for outgoing hierarchy for your downstream partners. Also, we can provide different formats to notify your downstream partners. Okay, Emre, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, Arif, in this case, significantly the rework operations are affected. Full batch rework and automated serialization and aggregation line will be impossible without the hierarchy exchange, without stakeholders and trace solutions. Also, adapting the industry standards like OPC-UA can help all level 4, level 3, and level 2 vendors, improving the process efficiency and data security of all their customers. So with the help of new technologies, level 3 communicates with the upstream and downstream partners in secure, synchronized, and fully automated environment.
Okay, OPC-UA is a standard like a GS1 part, or is just a specific standard for?
Not a GS1 standard, this is like a communication standard, and it provides fast, agile, and automated solutions.
Okay. Okay, I got it. I understand. I understand. Okay, thank you very much. And let's go to the last problem that we want to discuss today is double scanning in warehouses operations. So the main reason here is that the most WMS system, they cannot read data matrix code, and usually WMS systems are restricted to change, and sometimes only outgoing messages are allowed. And in this case, we have the specific case. I would like to share you a specific case which we have done with one of the 3PL provider to automate the processes of the track and trace. So what we did, we made separated the L4 and L3 level, and mostly the processes. The work with SSCC and with pallets, on master case and on pallet level, is done by WMS scanner, and we just build the integration to receive all the information from WMS regarding accepted SSCC based on document number and document date, and so on. And in this case, only a WMS scanner is used for acceptance of the goods and for dispatching of the goods. So we build just the specific reconciliation processes here. So SSCC list check and dispatch validation check. And but in general, if the warehouse works only with SSCC master case and with pallet level, there is no need to deploy any additional handheld. But in case the work is on a pack level, we should add a specific mobile app here, and this mobile app will help to work with these operations on the level of packs, on data matrix level. And Emre, I know that Advanco has such kind of solution. Can you please tell more about it?
Yes, sir. First, Advanco Arc Mobile solution provides and supports the handling all warehouse and packaging shop floor operations, including rework, after serialization and shipment management, and as you see, modern UI and unmatching user experience. For example, Arc Mobile manages both full and partial shipment orders with the Outbound module, and also it handles the pack and repack, sampling, commissioning, decommissioning activities. And we can easily update the status of item through the synchronous communication with the level 4. And mainly, Arc Mobile handles almost all scenarios in the shop floor and the supply chain environment.
Emre, thank you very much. Actually, we have discussed the most interesting problems and the most interesting questions. And I would like our participants to ask questions and answers. I told that we will answer them in any case, even if we cannot do it now, we will answer it at the end of the meeting and send you the results. And I would like also organizers to start the last survey. What is missing for the successful launch of the project for you? And please run this survey. Thank you very much. Please, all of you, I would like to answer this question. It's very important. We will share these results with the regulators, and most probably the process of communications will be better, and we will provide more competences, more serialization-related events, and so on. And I would like to also summarize today's discussion with key takeaways before we go to questions and answers. There are 5 points that we need to outline. That full traceability in GCC is a complex project in all supply chain function and requires following requires a complex project, and it's based on the complex regulations. The full track and trace project is more about IT, and it's better to treat it as an IT, because in this case you will have significantly improve all the possible issues and problems in advance. And of course, testing and good project management is very important here. Also, IT efficiency is a basis of supply chain efficiency, and separation of equipment level, L3 level and L4 level is highly recommended, especially if you have the continuous production process. And let me say that the major issues, again, they come from aggregation, sequence control, hierarchy notifications, and duplication of work efforts. And we should take it into our mind when we make this project and when we proceed with the testing scenarios and so on and so on. And to address all of these issues, you have to choose flexible solutions with seamless integration between L1, L4 levels, and with solid experience. If you need any support from our side, if you would like us to share our experience, please contact me or Emre after the event. And also we will be very much welcome you on the offline event that will be in March in Dubai. And we are ready to share a lot of information that may be useful for you. And thank you very much. I think we can proceed to questions and answers. Actually, we are out of time, but I think that 2 questions.
We will go with a few questions. Thank you very much. It was very informative. This is one of the best webinars that we have done. Thank you, Amir and Arif. It was really clear and to the point. I like that. So yes, someone is asking if this webinar will be offline. It will be on our YouTube in 2 days. So you can always get the information from there. You can directly meet Mr. Amri or Mr. Arif. Just send them and they will get back to you. So let's start with the questions. So hi, I have a question. Sorry, I'm still poor of background on this subject. Who should generate the serialization number? Is it the manufacturer or the distributor?
Okay, thank you for the question. Also, Evgeny, my colleague, has just answered this question. It's based on legislation. In most cases, manufacturer, but sometimes when serialization is allowed on customs warehouse, it could be done by the importer, for example. So there are different options. And of course, some regulatory can provide the functionality to generate serial numbers on their side. Some regulators do not provide, but generally L3 solution, Advanco solution, and U-Trace solution have this functionality. So you can choose. It's up to you to choose.
Another one, hi everyone, do you report directly to MVC and Tatmin system, and how you overcome the failure of reporting?
Yes, generally our system, I mean, if I'm talking about L4 level, and Temre will speak a bit about Advanco, we are multi-industrial and multi-regulatory, multinational system. What does it mean? It means that inside our system, we have a specific router, country router, and product router. For example, if you are a manufacturer and you produce either food supplements and medicines for different markets, we do not need to distinguish between the markets on shop floor level, because all the reporting will be done based on specific rules. And when you report us, for example, the COTS usage, we will understand that this product is intended for, let's say, Bahrain for medicines, and we send the specific, it's through the specific integration. And this process will be, and our flexibility will be discovered during the session of Konstantin Ivanov, our Chief Executive Officer. He will discuss it together with us from Advanco during the offline event. So we can welcome you there, and again, we will answer all the questions during this.
And one more question, do you validate the product master data in the branding prior supply planning?
That's a good question. Yes, the validation is possible, but generally the process of master data, yeah, in putting master data in this system is the first step, yeah, of the reporting, of the start of your serialization. But generally, we have integration options to communicate with such kind of services. For example, in Russia or in Uzbekistan, we have the same principle, and we have, for example, the national catalog where we describe all data regarding the product, and this data is available to share with other systems. So answering your question, yes, it's possible, but it's not necessarily.
Okay, so what we understood is the level 1, 2, 3 is mainly related to the manufacturer. Authorities are only in level 5. That's true?
That's true. Sometimes we can say that L5 solution may be treated as a separate connector for the L5 level. But in any case, we treat L1, L2, and L3 as a site level, L4 as a company level, corporate level, and L5 as a national regulatory system.
Ala is asking if we will have a recorded session. Yes, we'll do. People is asking if they can have directly your contact number. I will ask the organizers, please, can you add Mr. Arif and this is their emails so they can contact them? Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You see it on the screen, but it's not easy to copy paste from from the screen.
It's okay. They will take screenshots and pictures. Don't worry about them.
Okay.
One last question, I think no, we still have 2 questions. In a simple word, authority required a unique serial number and 2D barcode on every single pack of the pharmaceutical. Such a unique serial number must be registered in a database from the authority, like MOH, MOHAP, or Saudi FDA. Allow traceability of the unit from the manufacturer to the patient uses. Is this what I understood? Someone is asking.
Yes, the authorities require you to put the barcode. Yes, exactly, that's right.
It's exactly the message. So the emails also is short. Ebla is asking, in order to report the TT, track and trace system, do you require to have an account access in these systems? Ebla, I don't think it's clear. your question. Would you like to come online and speak? Your question. Can you unmute yourself, please? Can you unmute Ebla, please?
Maybe I can understand it because I understand that to report to track and trace system, we should have access to the personal cabinet or something like this in L5 system level. It's actually, it's not necessarily when we speak about automated process, because during automated process we just need to trigger API access through API, and we do not need to go directly to the personal cabinet and open it and to do some work manually. Yeah. So the most L5 system provides the opportunity to report through API. And some of them require like a token authorization or something like this, but we cover this technology. It's not a problem. For example, in Russia, we even have a specific case with crypto coding. So for each serial number, we have to request crypto code from the regulatory level. It's real mess, but hopefully in GCC it's more easier to do.
It's a bit, yes. If my company already has an ERP system managing the WMS and serialization, will still you be assisting for the interfere of Tatmin and L4 and L5 level?
If you already have the solution, the serialization solution,
ERP, yes.
Yes, we should check your requirements. If your vendor cannot provide you such functionality, of course we can integrate to this vendor. For example, there are some countries where one big vendor of track and trace solution do not have integration to this country, and we stand just in the same level beside to this solution. We connect to this solution and we report to this country authority. We became like intermediate solution. But in general, uTrace is a full-fledged L4 track and trace solution, so we can substitute any type of track and trace solution.
The last question we have today is the GTIN of the product could be unified for many countries, or it must be unique for each country? The GTIN.
It depends again on the country requirements, but I can say that in most cases GTIN is different for different countries. But there are some cases when you have one GTIN and you know the insert should be also in different languages inside the pack of the medicine, and sometimes some producers really make one unique GTIN for different countries. In this case, for us, it's harder to define for which market this product is intended for, and we need to get this information somehow from the factory, from L3 level.
Okay, thank you. I have said that was the last question. However, someone said your session is very interested. I just want to know, do you have a specific timeline for a fix failure in reporting to avoid impact on the supply?
Specific
is there a timeline?
Yeah, sure. Of course, and we and Advanco, our systems has SLA, and all the vendors that providing software solutions, they should provide strict SLA requirements. They should include minimum time to restore, minimum time objectives for failures, and SLA for failures. I mean, response time and recovery time. Everything should be provided. This is the basis. This is what should be for each vendor, as well as a good customer care process. So this is just the basics.
Okay, thank you. Everyone is happy with this session. Thank you again for having you today, and looking forward to see you on site in March. And everyone who would love to speak and have a solutions, please take a screenshot or a photo or picture of the emails, address, and phone numbers, and don't hesitate to contact Mr. Emery or Mr. Arif. Thank you very much for having you today and for your efforts.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Mona. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Dr. Mona.
Thank you. Thanks, all of you.
Bye-bye.